Yes.
Thanks, I said, it needs a new rear main. $1,200 in labor, so we quoted.
Nice.
But the thing sits overnight, you can't even see a drop of oil underneath it.
It's an expensive oil change. But that's how dealers work now too, right?
It's disgusting.
I know a number of years ago, I put in equipment across town, auto when they were building their new location. And they were, then, this is about 5-6 years ago, they were expecting $1 million a month of service going through their doors. It's a big place. But
Is that the one on 97?
no, that's Chrysler on
Just off the other hand.
156 Yonge. $1 million a month.
Yeah, I went to the GM one on 97th Street.
Okay. Yeah.
1.8 hours to diagnose bad number 2 spark.
Oh, I was going to talk to you about
1.8 hours.
differentials. Do you know anybody who built a Miata differential in Edmonton?
All the bits to land, he did mine.
Did he?
By feel for the most part. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know if anybody's getting experience with them. That's the thing.
He was an auto tech, it's like a GM certified test.
Are you up and running there?
Built a lot of these things,
Yeah.
so he-
I'm just optimizing, making sure it's not.
Okay, because we're gonna get going here.
Okay.
Because there's actually not a lot, so. All right, well, start the meeting now, call it to order. Thank you for coming. Some people have traveled a little bit further to come out here and give some presentations to the club. So I think we should probably just start with those. So, Tracy, you're up. You got the floor. Trey.
Come up to the front.
Yeah. Oh, there you go.
I stand, it's all good.
It's all good.
Tracy's nervous, so I'll start. I don't have a problem with talking. Thanks for inviting us tonight, the executive of the NASCC. We want to just take this opportunity to talk a little bit about what CMRT has done, where we started a few years ago, and then talk a little bit about the Alberta Race Marshal Association that's being newly formed, and kind of where we see that going, with Tracy's input, obviously. So I'll indulge for a couple minutes to start with. CMRT was formed about in 2011. 5 of us, Dr. Rob Seal, who's here in the room, Bruce McDonald, J.L. Ward, Jeff Brown, and myself. Bruce, Jeff, and J.L. live in Montreal, actually. And we formed this association because we actually saw a huge need for some proper training for racetrack rescue. And that's why we actually started this project. And we've come a long way in the 5 years, I can honestly say. We're involved at many different levels of racing. Exciting news this year, we've actually been asked to do Formula E in Montreal as well as F1 in the GP3R. We're working on a bunch of new training initiatives right now. This winter has been very exciting for us. We've managed to bring on 2 brand new sponsorships this winter. Ansel Fire Extinguishers is on board with us. And we're actually 4 or 5 of us are going to their school in Green Bay, Wisconsin in May to not only work on putting out some large fuel fires with fire extinguishers, we're going to be instructors for their program, and we're also going to be certified in the maintenance and care of fire extinguishers, so refilling them, inspecting them, all that kind of stuff. The other partner that's come on board this year is actually Home Natural Rescue Tools. Everybody knows IndyCar racing, everybody knows the Home Natural Safety Team. We're now part of that organization, not with the Indy guys directly, but Home Natural's come on board as a sponsorship as well for us this year. So what they're doing for us this year is they'll give us brand new tools every year. One set will be here, one set will be in Montreal. We're looking at getting a couple other sets from them too. And as part of that deal, we're going to Pennsylvania in the first weekend of April, 4 of us. And we're going to be actually taking their instructor training program to instruct other people how to use those rescue tools. So again, when we say we formed CMRT to enhance safety at the racetracks through training, and that's what it's all about for us. Some of the other things we're working on that not many people know about, Arnie Coons, who's in charge of the FI Institute in the States approached Dr. Seal and Bruce a few years ago about writing a training program for road rescue, because there isn't one approved by the SFI Institute anywhere in North America right now. That's in for review, and it's going to go forward. They've now approached us as well to rewrite the short track program and work on the drag racing program from our rescue. And we'll be instructors in those programs and be able to teach them anywhere across Canada, throughout North America. We're doing some other studies. Everybody probably has heard of the Med Board, which Rob was instrumental in getting designed. That's the short extrication board we use for taking race car drivers out of the cars, specifically designed for that purpose. The FIA approved it for use this spring at the convention in Indiana. So that's really exciting news. They're actually talking about potentially building that board into the seats of some of the different racing series. Again, it's the safety aspect of the drivers that we're after here in rapid extraction if we have to. The other study we're doing is actually, we're working with a lady, Tara, who works with a large company in the States that does accident investigation and recreation. And we're actually doing some studies on the movement of drivers, taking them out of the race cars and what's the most effective way through sensors and that whole engineering side, which I'm not up on the best way to do that. And that research will lead into a lot of changes, I think, in the future. Not only for racers, but for regular accidents on the street for people. So very involved in the research, the learning, and the training. We support the local racing, obviously, we always have. It's our grassroots too. That's where we can actually bring new people to learn. So we definitely want to stay involved in that. The other deal we managed to do this year, just announced on the weekend, is APC, which is a sort of pro-level stock car race out of Ontario, has signed a deal for us to be their traveling safety team this summer. So we're going to have one truck in Ontario that will travel with that series and be the primary rescue for that series. So hugely busy winter for our entire group. And you know, again, now the opportunity came up with the marshals here. They wanted to form an association, and we support that. And really what we're looking at is to bring more training for them. One thing we're bringing at the end of April, we've arranged for ANSO, again, as one of our sponsors, to bring their live burn trailer out here. And we're going to be doing live fire training with all the marshals at the Castro track. Again, racer safety, if they know how to hit a fire quickly with an extinguisher, that's what it's all about. Through our sponsorship also, we've managed to obtain, at this point I have 15 high flow extinguishers from Ansel for free that we've given to the Marshall group for them to have one on every corner. And we're working on getting more equipment for them now, again, at no cost to anybody. So through our sponsorship leads, we're hoping to enhance the safety equipment for everybody out here, basically, is where we're at.
Sorry, and what other tracks do you guys work at? Is it just?
In the east, there's the series that we just signed for now, and I don't know what tracks they're running at, but it's a 5-race series through APC. We work, obviously, Formula 1 in Montreal. We work the Formula E now, which is going to be downtown street course in Montreal. We do the GP3R, which is 2 weekends of racing. The FIA Rallycross is the first weekend, and some support events, obviously. Second weekend is the NASCAR. We have all done, and we haven't done it in a few years now, but we've all done IndyCar racing. The majority of the senior group with this organization used to do NASCAR at the nationwide level, and we've taken our NASCAR training for all that kind of stuff when it was in Montreal. What else have we done? Up until this year, we're doing NHRA as well at the track in Edmonton at Castro. Just received word, we were asked back this year again, but it's not NHRA, it's now IHRA is actually coming to Canada.
Other way.
The
Other way? No.
Yeah, it was on, now it's on. It's now.
The better series is coming next year. That's the exciting, right?
The faster one.
The faster ones are coming. I mean, I started in the race rescue business in late 80s, early 90s, doing pit lane fire in Vancouver. And then I worked for a gentleman out of Florida, Chief Craig Clark, who ran track rescue, and that was the full-time safety team for the drag racing series at the time. And then he shut down and kind of branched into this, and I think this year I've got about 60 days booked on track so far for this summer.
Mission and Gimli, do you guys?
We've been invited to go to Gimli this year as training. We've never gone to mission yet, but
Training their guys, or?
yes. To help train their guys. So we're looking at doing that, because that's part of our mandate, obviously, to help train. IndyCar, we've been back and forth with Toronto for a few years, but we're just kind of waiting to see where that goes. It's gotta be the right conditions to do those races, obviously, so. We're one of the few organizations, I guess the other thing I'll just touch on quickly. 2 years ago, we started, there's a conference in Indianapolis every December, and part of that conference is the ICMS, which is the International Conference of Motorsport Sciences. And 2 years ago, we actually started a racetrack safety program. So it was run in conjunction with the conference. Rudy's been at it both years, right? Yeah. So we do lectures in the morning, and then in the afternoon, they actually come down and we have stations set up so they can cut up cars, they can take people to cars, they can immobilize people, all that kind of stuff. The first year we had just over 100 registered people at it, and this year we had almost 200 for the one-day event. So lots of learning opportunity for tracks, and we learn from them every time. Part of that actually is the Homatro safety team comes in and works with us for that afternoon. They run the stations with us, they do some demos, we do some demos, and we go back and forth. So it's really it's been a great project so far, and they've kind of mentioned that they might want us to run one or two more of those throughout the year in the States in different venues as well, because it's been so well received.
Yeah, there was a great program on before the IndyCar at St. Petersburg, Yellow, 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 with the Homatro safety team. It was very interesting.
Yeah.
It was very well done.
Yeah. Bruce McDonald, who one of our owners, actually used to work for the Homatro safety team in the Champ Car days.
Yeah.
So again, and Bruce was one of those really different people who drove funny cars, drag racing at 300 miles an hour and crashed them. So kind of like most of us in this industry, we're not all that sane.
Barry, you had a,
Oh, good. He's
The
listening.
connections were, because Bruce sent the list, but I found it on the laptop of where all APC races. Race at Sunset, Flamborough, Peterborough, Delaware, Sauble, and at what's now called Jukasa, which is the old Cayuga Speedway. So that's where.
So you'd normally categorize it like about 80% in Eastern Canada and about 20% out here?
Most of the big races right now, because we've lost our big race here,
Yeah,
are in Eastern Canada.
yeah.
But we actually do more track days for the sport club type racing in that out here than
Out
they
here,
would do there. But most of the big events are there right now. Hopefully that will change and we'll get an Indy race back to Calgary someday, or some other races out this way. But yeah, that's where it's at. And then the interesting thing with the APC series is we've actually had some of those tracks come to us now. Well, since you're here, would you be our rescue team for the weekend? And they're looking at using us more and more. So the word is getting out, which is huge. And again, it's not meant to do anything with costing racers more money or anything else. This is all about trying to improve racer safety. And our vision, and I think the Marshal's vision, it's the exact same thing. This is all about enhancing racer safety. And if we can do that through training and through some of our connections now, that's really what we're all about.
Barry, you had a question?
I'd like to turn your comments around.
Okay.
And by that I mean, you spend a lot of time researching on how to get drivers out after an accident. What about the reverse? Can you give us some feedback in terms of how we should be constructing these cars so that A, we're safer, and B, we can facilitate getting us out?
Most definitely. That's actually, it's funny because one of the discussion boards I'm on about racing safety, Roll Cage Medic, which is a doctor out of Australia actually, was just commenting on that. They redesigned the supercar to make the driver safety, but they haven't taken into account how to get them out or anything else. So that actually just has come up for discussion very recently. One of the things that helps us more than anything, and I know at the local level racing it's hard to do, but it's as simple as where are the switches. I mean, when I go to a NASCAR event, I know where the switches are. I can reach in the car in the smoke and I can shut everything off because I know where they are. In this kind of racing, it could be down here, it could be over here. So just simple standardizing of locations of safety devices from the rescue perspective is huge because we can, you know, like I said, if you're stuck in the car and it's on fire, I drop the window net, I reach in, I can hit your power switch, I can turn it off, I can hit your toggles. I know where they are. I know where your extinguisher is in the car if it's in the same place in everyone, or where the button is. Won't cost you guys any more, right, if you just standardize where the safety equipment. Helps us immensely.
On that note, I mean, Paul and I could probably go on this for enough time to occupy your entire evening. But there's lots of other things. I'm just gonna, rather than do that, I'm gonna mention one low-cost thing that is showing up in a lot of series, and I think is actually a good thing. We all know about the window net on the Windows side, but putting another net on the other side of the driver inside the cockpit is really preventing a lot of right arm injuries or left arm injuries if you're in Australia. And you know, it's not an expensive thing to add in.
You're talking about the center net.
Yeah.
Center net, yeah.
Yeah.
And it's been a good thing. So there's, you know, a lot of it isn't big ticket items. It's stuff that you could have on your club racing vehicles.
Containment seats, any thoughts on those?
Yeah, they're really good for you guys. Really stink for us getting you out of them afterwards. But no, there are definitely some different some seats. You can go the full wraparound NASCAR style, obviously. Just the straight sort of half back here. That's actually what they use in the FIA Rallycross, and they just have the low roll cage bar on the side. They work, but again, in a 200 or 180 mile an hour impact like a NASCAR, I mean, the impact we had last year in Three Rivers actually broke the racing seat over the car. So there's issues with those ones, for sure. But all stuff we're very interested in, for sure, in working on.
And there's now some where the surround padding actually will lift out like it would on a chance car, IndyCar, Formula One type car. And that's a big advantage because a lot of the first ones, everything that was molded was just there, and so you really got a lot of constrained space, whereas this allows you to make some room.
The other thing that's really helped for us, and you'll see us every morning on race weekend walking through the pit looking at cars, not because we're nosy, we're trying to learn where everything is in them, but 2 years ago we did our testing for FIA and Rallycross, and the driver they gave us was 6'5",
At least.
something like that, and we had to get him out of the car without cutting his car, and we struggled getting the board in behind him, so we got him out the first time. It wasn't bad, it was good, but then we actually got a chance to look at his seat, and he actually had a lumbar pad behind his back that was removable. So by learning about the car, when we went and did it the next time, we brought him forward through the C-spine process, reached in, pulled the pad out, threw the board in, out he came. So again, when we say we walk through the pits to look at the cars, to learn about the cars, it's for that reason, so that if we see something weird in a car, that we can keep in our minds that if we get to this car, we got a F1 is, I don't know why, but the seats are removable in an F1 car, as you guys all know. But there's actually different numbers of time. We have to undo 2 screws on the hit end to take the seat out. That's all we have to do. Some turn half a turn, some turn 10 turns. So we have to actually remember which car is which, so when we go to take the seat out, we know what we have to do. Why they wouldn't make them all the same? One of those little things.
A couple of years ago, you introduced us to a lid lifter.
Mm-hmm.
And my question is, I haven't seen any around. Have many people gone that route?
We've seen lots of them out east, and we've seen lots of them in Europe, actually. In Canada, we haven't seen a lot of them yet. I'm hoping to see more of them.
But there's been no push, no.
Yeah, well, it's marketing, and I believe we have to do a better job of marketing that in Canada, because I think it's way more efficient, and we actually used at the school, the course we ran in Indianapolis, the racetrack safety program, they gave us all the eject stuff to use, and they gave us lid lifters so everyone could try the different techniques. And I think the lid lifter was probably favored by most people.
Does everybody understand what we're talking about?
Yeah, those the straps go on the helmet.
Yeah, it looks like you got a Pluto hat on with a set of ears.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
Yeah,
you just pull
pulls
the
up.
balaclava and the helmet goes pop.
yeah, right off. And
There's the air system as well?
that's the eject system. The problem with the eject system, not a problem, it works really well, I don't want to sound negative about it, but if you use it, you have to replace it. Where the lid lifter is actually your Nomex balaclava. If your helmet's super tight, you can use it to take your helmet off every single day, and you're gonna pay 70 or 80 bucks for a new balaclava. These are about $120 you pay per.
Sure.
Costs a little bit more, but again, it's something that you never have to replace if you use it. Right, it's one of those things, so definitely things we can talk about and we can show at the drivers' meetings if you guys wanna go down that road.
Any other questions for CMRT right
So,
now?
you mentioned the owner of the CMRT?
That's the five of us.
There's 5 of us.
Yeah.
And it's a nonprofit or profit or?
Well, it is a,
It's a for.
how do you want to answer that one, Ron? It's a legal company incorporated.
If you make money, you pay taxes.
But we have never had to worry about paying taxes yet. Is that a way for me to put it?
We're in the hole.
Yeah, we're in the hole. The five of us basically fund it because we believe in it. I mean, at the end of the day, we believe in it. The other thing I didn't really talk about a lot just briefly is the Med Board. And that's really exciting news for us because that actually has been recognized by the FIA in Vienna this year, right? As what will become part of the standard equipment on the tracks that they race at. And it's all through research that's been done by the group to get there. So it's good.
Yeah, NASCAR's just reorganized. They've ended up, one of their series sponsors is AMR, an ambulance company from the US. They are looking at completely redoing the way they do their safety teams, and they're looking at equipping all their safety teams with the Ford.
Yeah. So, and if you want to see any of that equipment, come out in the training weekend or any race weekend, we're more than happy to.
Just crash hard.
Just ask him. He won't stop. He'll show you everything over and over.
So, carry on, Tracy. Sorry.
Oh, that's all good. Okay, so basically, all those guys that are waving at you and white off the track, out there with their flags and stuff, we kind of needed to get our own identity and have our own group so we can have some sense of being somebody. So we decided to form our own marshal club. So we came up with Alberta Race Marshals, which actually Doug Finch came up with that name, as well as one driver suggested that name as well. So we did votes over the winter to come up with a name and mission statements and all this kind of stuff. So basically we formed this organization to have better safety at the track for our volunteers and our drivers. So we want to have our marshals to have the best training that they can get. I've been working with ASN Canada to put training material together. We're going to be running a school in April, a 2-day training school, which we got some sponsorships, partly by Castrol and partially by Track Junkies at this time, because we're a nonprofit organization as well. So a lot of the stuff that we're going to be doing is going on donations, where we're looking at replacing and updating equipment that is needed at the track, and CMRT is helping us out with that as well. So we're going to be looking at doing a lot of sponsorship for donations and things like that. With our school, we are going to be doing like live on track training, so we're going to have the in-classroom sessions on the flagging, the marshalling, but we're also going to have each marshal doing live fire training as well. So if there is a car on fire at their station right there, they'll be able to put that out and they will be certified. And like Paul said, all that was sponsored through Ansel. And they're going to be bringing a trailer out from Ontario, and every person, CMRT, so we're going to be doing joint training with CMRT so that they can have the knowledge of what we do on track and we can have the knowledge of what they do on track. And eventually we're looking at trying to get another truck where we can train a couple marshals where they'll actually get up to go out and help do cleanups and things like that with CMRT and do assisting and things like that. So those are things we're working on. The last few months we've been putting countless hours in trying to get the incorporations done and get all our training material and everything together for the school to keep the drivers safe. So that's our main goal. I want to introduce Brent Cummings. He's our vice president, and beside him is Doug Finch, and this is our secretary treasurer. And Ray's going to kill me, but Ray will be on our board of directors within the next month and a half. And he's been helping out. So between Ray and Doug, they put a lot of work into, we came up with this logo. So you've probably seen it on Facebook and that. So we've just started coming out live. But these guys, like, we've just been working non-stop through the winter trying to get everything organized so we can have like the best year ever out there and start working on all our safety goals and you know, further advanced training and things like that to keep the drivers safe. What else do you guys have anything to add with our visions? Yeah, go ahead.
How does this differ from what the race workers group used to be?
Cause we didn't, well, I can't speak for, are you talking about ARPA, way back
Yeah.
when?
Yeah.
It hasn't really been in existence, so we just show up, and we don't really have an identity, we just show up, we're those people dressed in white that wander around and do stuff, so we wanna bring this group together, give them a sense of being, you know, get them clothing, so everybody, cause like I said, they're all volunteers, like, for me to come out and volunteer every summer, I mean, it's like $2,000 easy out of my pocket just to drive from Calgary to come out here, but we love what we do. And then I'll add another $5 or $6,000 onto that because I travel to get experience at Formula One and IndyCar. So I do two Formula One events every year plus a Indy event in Long Beach. So but like I said, it's to bring all that knowledge back, and then we want to be able to start getting sponsorships so we can start sending our marshals out. Since we lost Leventon Indy, we like to be able to get them to travel, and you know, whether they can get to Gimli, but a lot of them want to go work the international races, but they don't have the means to do that. So we want to start setting up some kind of sponsorship for these guys, where we can get them trained to the capacity that they can work these events because they need the experience, but also be able to help them physically get out there and work them. And then that way they bring that knowledge back, and then we share it with everybody else, so.
And it really is all about training. I mean, it's about training on both sides of us. One thing I did mention, and I'm remiss because it's gonna help you guys in your racing this year, to have the downtime shorter. Safety Clean is also one of our sponsors. They provided us with a full pallet of sweep last year. Should we get another pallet showing up here in the next few weeks? And they're actually donating a hopper to us that will be installed on the back of a pickup truck. It's, you know, push the button, it goes down, scrubs the stuff in, we blow it off, and you guys go back to racing. So that's again something else we should have for this season. Out here is a actual sweeper hopper for cleaning up the oil mess that a few drivers drop on the track once in a while.
And also, sorry, I just want to mention that NASCC is our #1 goal. That's our club. Nothing that we do now is going to change from that. We just want to enhance what we have, build our marshal base up again, because we've lost a few members over the last couple of years, but we want to get that enthusiasm back. So this way, working with CMRT, we have a little bit more to offer, and this way, like I said, once we can start getting some sponsorship and that, where we can, you know, give them a t-shirt, or, you know, because like Race City Days, we used to get little trinkets, and, you know, that's what kept people coming back. So we want to get back into, you know, the spirit of making sure they got something, some kind of carrot, whatever, to, you know, get them.
It's partly just to give everybody a sense of belonging and sort of developing a spirit de corps. So we're all working together, and every marshal will have a say in how everything's run.
Correct.
So we're sort of on the same team.
What's the dates of your school, Tracy?
So, yeah, we'll be running April 29th in the evening after the Track Junkies Day, and all day on Sunday. Now, we will be inviting some drivers as well if we have space, depending, so if you wanna come see what we're actually learning, like I said, this is a more high-level school that we've ever had an opportunity to put on, and like I said, with the help of Castrol donating the time, and then the other sponsors that have, you know, they're helping us get the dinners and stuff like that, so we can feed everybody, but we would like to have some of the drivers there if possible. If you wanna just show up and see, we're all good with that, but well, I'll be sending emails out, but I don't have an email list for the drivers and that, just for the marshals. So we will, between me and Paul, and then hopefully maybe somebody from the executive will send those emails out on our behalf. And then, like I said, if you guys wanna, if there's any drivers that wanna show up, just let me know and we'll see what we can do to accommodate you. Like for the fire training, if we don't have enough space, sure, you can come watch, but we may not be able to put you through that training, because we've gotta make sure that all the volunteers from CMRT and the marshals and any other volunteers that are physically working on the track, we wanna make sure that they've got that training first. But other than that, we're gonna do, track experiences.
Well, we're gonna do a few different things, but, so Sunday's up in the air, because right now Castro is not rented the track on Sunday. So we've got used to the track to do scenarios and responses and everything. Obviously, if somebody comes to Castro and says, we'd like the track for the day, we're gonna have to modify our plan a little bit. But right now, we have the use of the track, and that's one thing I will say is, I am looking for a couple people that might let us use their cars if we don't damage them. I do have a closed wheel car already for taking drivers out of. I'm looking for an open wheel car if anybody might have a chassis somewheres. And then we're trying to find a couple cars we can actually cut up as well. So if anybody's got an open wheel car that they wanna loan out for the day, we promise we won't break it too much. And you can have it back at the end of the day.
Yeah, and if anybody does have access to like an old race car that we can cut up, because we do wanna do an extrication training like we did, when did you guys did that?
Late last year.
Like last year.
Jed's still on holidays, or Jed is still away in his car. I have to know where it is.
Yeah, but no, I mean, I'm excited about it. I think getting more training to everybody on the corners. You know, we don't expect them to put out the big fire, but I think we've had 2 or 3 fires since we've been doing the races, and some fires for the track junkie days too. And we've managed to not have any major damage to vehicles because we've got the equipment and we've got the experienced personnel on it to work on that. And that's really where we want to hopefully grow this across the whole country. And at the end of the day, if we can get some buy-in from other people and better training for rescue crews, there might actually be some cost saving to racers at the end of the day. So we're working on a few different things that might bring your guys' costs down if we can keep moving forward with this.
So how is you're having your marshal school the week before our competition license school? How is that going to affect our competition license school?
We will still be supplying marshals as we always have. Now, me and Rudy will discuss this after our meeting today, because I'm sorry, I haven't had a chance to talk to him yet. We will maybe still be running a mini school on the Sunday for anybody that can't attend the weekend before. But like I said, the reason this happened the weekend before, it was the only time that Castro could allow us to have the track so we could do the scenarios and things like that. So, and basically because we did want to run a full 2-day school, but we couldn't get 2 full days. So, I talked to somebody from NASCC, but, I talked to Brooke yesterday. So we will be supplying marshals for Saturday for volunteering, Sunday we will. Everything will still be covered as normal, and
You probably just won't be doing as much training then.
yeah, like I said, because before we just had a cold classroom that we sat up there and, you know, we looked at our manual and looked at some flags, but now we actually get to do some real live training, and, you know, we'll have better, like I said, because since I've been working with ASM, we'll have better training material to actually provide, and, you know, we'll have the projectors and all that stuff, so it's a really exciting opportunity that we haven't had before, so it's exciting.
Well, that's good to hear.
And like I said, we're doing it for the drivers mostly, because without the drivers, we can't be out there, and with us, you guys can't be out there, so.
Great.
Anybody have any other questions?
I do.
Yeah.
Which volunteers are you including in your group? Timing and scoring, radio communications?
Anybody that wants to be a part of it. So, like I said, those emails will come out in a couple of weeks, but yeah, I'd like to sit down with you and talk to you about that as well.
Are you gonna have training at the school for other positions other than?
Probably not. No, because like I said, we're running a marshal school like we have every other year, but if anybody wants to come out and they can learn, like I said, we'll have the fire training and all that stuff, but they're more than welcome to show up. Also, probably some Castro staff will be attending as well, so it's just to have everybody for all groups that want to work on the track, you know, for marshalling and rescue pretty much.
But there's always options for training.
There's options.
I don't know if we've got time, but we've got 2 days for timing and scoring and pre-grid.
Well, I
still don't know how to do pre-grid.
I was actually going a different direction with this.
Yeah.
Because we're gonna be at the track the next weekend, right? And your marshals aren't gonna be all sitting in the classroom upstairs. So why couldn't we work on some training for timing and scoring and pre-grid and that when we're actually lining cars up in a group to take them on the track? And there's actually options here that we can look at to do some different training
Different training.
on the second
Yeah,
weekend.
see, I'd like that too, cause
Yeah.
I've never
More
been a
meaningful.
crew or any of that stuff as well, so.
Yeah, so I think that's a worthwhile conversation to have, because if we're doing the bulk of the marshal training the first weekend, we're still gonna have everybody at the track.
I
So
think you
why
can
wouldn't
spend a
we
lot of
try-
time doing radio communication
Yeah.
improvements as well.
Yeah,
Yeah.
oh, for sure.
Yeah, definitely we can do that too, so, no, that's a really good suggestion, actually.
Yeah, and like I said, like for our first year, like I said, we're just getting up and going and we're learning as we go and we're taking suggestions from everybody. Like we've got a lot of stuff coming in that we're working with. It's just a matter of figuring out, so like the first year basically, we're just trying to get structured, see if we can get some of our equipment purchased. We do have some donated already, but we're working on more just to make everything stronger and better.
Okay, Garnet had a question.
Just, with the 2 different weekends, I guess the one thing that concerns me is, I presume in your marshalling school, you'll be doing radio communication?
Correct.
Okay, so we'll be doing a separate radio communication the next week?
I'm not.
So, no, just with what's being suggested. So the different groups will have different training?
No, I think we can get consistent trainers to do it. I'm not worried about that. I mean, if I have to, I've got a fair bit of experience at using radios. If I give the talk in the first weekend, and then I do the same talk, I think we can have consistent messaging. I think we can work on that. Because the last thing we wanna do is have confusion, I agree with you. Yeah, so I think we can come up with some consistent messaging for both weekends, if that's how we do it.
Yeah, and then another thing, like for having it the weekend before, because during the racing school, a lot of our seniors are actually out helping get with the school now, and they're not physically able to come to the schools. Now, some of the flagging things have changed over the last 20 years or 15 years, and we wanna have everybody updated to today's, FIA regulations or how we're running under WCMA, and just make sure that everybody's doing things the same. Because a lot of it, if you look on YouTube or whichever, you can see that different things are happening at different stations where we haven't seen before because we're all standing on a corner, but then all of a sudden you see it live and you're like, oh. So, we just wanna make sure that everybody's got that opportunity to come together and we all have to be trained the same and consistent, basically.
Barry?
Tracy, are there any other organizations like you're proposing
Yes.
at tracks in Canada?
Yes, that's why we wanted to do this. There's one in Quebec, there's one in Ontario, there's one in Nova Scotia, there's one in BC. Saskatchewan, I don't think so.
Not that I'm aware of, no.
But yeah, they're actually pretty big, so, and because I travel a lot as well, I've been talking to chiefs from all across Canada, from the States, from England, and we've got support from across the world, basically, so any drivers, any of you guys are welcome to join our Facebook page. It's Under Alberta Race Marshals, and we have, the guys in England, they're almost like military training. These guys go through levels and they wear different colors according to their levels, and they do the fire training and the rescue training and all that stuff. And they have offered to help us out where they can. They actually want to come out and do a race weekend with us one weekend before they go to Formula 1. So the opportunities that we're gonna get with this are amazing. So we've already got a lot of people, like the chief from the Formula 1 from Austin, he's helping us out right now with our training material. The same as, we have a few people from the Formula 1 in Montreal, and I've also got the chiefs from the Long Beach Indy helping out as well. So there's a lot of people coming together to try and make this, one of the biggest things in Alberta for our guys, to get them excited and get them out there and get our membership growing.
Okay. Anything else? Oh, John?
CMRT question. We have 2 new tracks in BC, one on the island and one in Soyuz. Are they getting any training? Have they approached you, or if we take a car up there, do you have any idea what we can expect for safety support?
I know a little bit more about that because I have talked to the owners of Area 27. They are not interested at this point. They are running this as a country club, and it's not looking at any kind of FIA sanctioned events at all. with either venue. It's, they're looking for just rich guys who wanna do more or less unsupervised lapping. And, so it's, well, I would like to see that be different than it is, but that's the demographic they're aimed for. And, they're both up and functional. The paving finished at Area 27 last summer. I think there's only been a few test laps on it, so this will be their first real season. The one on Vancouver Island, they were using it last year during the year, but they're looking at just having a bunch of rich guys put their cars out there and build little houses around it and drive.
Rich guys crash and burn too.
They do, and there's lots of videos of that.
Well, there's a recent one in Las Vegas again, I think it was the second one in just over a year, where there was a fatality.
Another fatality.
They actually doubled fatality this time, it was the instructor and the student that both died, and they hit the wall with that
The previous one was
Lamborghini.
in Florida. But, yeah, it's, we're not happy with that approach to life, put it that way, but that's, they know who we are, both places, and they know what we do, and they know what we think, so.
People don't hear a lot about the accidents, even at the, and most of the accidents are actually the local club racing. I mean, I think 2 years ago, I was reading statistics, I think it was 550 people died in the last 25 years on racetracks in North America, participants. And people don't hear about that, because it's not the big series where, I mean, once in a while they have a fatality, obviously, but it's the short track, local club dirt racing in the States where there's no Hans, there's, you know, no fire suppression systems, there's no, I can show you one video, the two guys' cars are on fire, the one driver hops out and he sees the water tanker, so he runs over and tries to get it himself, comes up, it's empty, because it was a water tanker for water in the track, goes back and fills it, tries it again, and finally the actual fire department shows up. And both cars are burned to a crisp. I mean, that's the stuff that happens, not as much here, but throughout the States, that's why we started CMRT, was to try to improve that stuff and make it safer.
On YouTube alone, you can find about a dozen of those per year.
Yeah.
From this continent alone.
Yeah. So it's scary sometimes, and, you know, we know money's always an issue. You know, and again, for us, I mean, like Rob said, we're not paying any income tax on our business, let's put it that way. So, but we love it, and we all have come from some sort of racing background, through the rescue side, whatever, and we believe in it. We think there's a way, and eventually we hope that we change some minds and safety's more at the forefront of it, because that's really what matters when you guys get in trouble with there. You know, you want somebody who actually knows something about a race car to try to get you out of that car. So.
How many years for you guys?
CMRT officially organized in 2011, I believe, as an organization. So when you think about what we've accomplished in 5 years, and I'll stick our head in our own cap, it's pretty amazing what we've accomplished through the FIA, mostly through Rob's hard work. You know, Rob's actually one of those higher up type doctors in the FIA, chief medical officers. So we've got a lot of connections and got a lot of support to try to take this forward to improve racing safety overall.
Garnet?
Yeah, I know that insurance for the races is quite expensive.
Mm-hmm.
Has there been any talk with the insurance companies about seeking a reduction based on quality and track safety?
We already get about the best rate that it's possible to get on this continent.
We do, but if there was a recognized training program and if tracks hired recognized safety programs, could there be a percentage reduction given to those tracks for the cost of insurance? I think
what clubs get as far as insurance costs from the ASN policy is a Cadillac policy compared to certainly any of these other so-called lapping groups throughout the continent. It's probably better than anything SCCA gets for their own members. And whenever you see these outfits saying, oh, well, our insurance is really cheap, right, that's because you don't get anything.
And I don't,
coverage.
Yeah.
So that's not really much of a debate from my perspective.
And I don't know if your insurance would change a lot, but I think what the tracks pay for insurance might have some bearing in it, which might help your cost. I don't know.
I doubt it. I doubt it.
Yeah.
But let me wear my ASN hat for a moment, and I think this is a valuable evolution of how things have gone, and it's really inevitable given the development of motorsports. Keeping everything purely at a local club level doesn't really work with the professionalism that we need to show our customers, which are tracks, sponsors, the public, potential other competitors. So I think you guys are being commended for taking this step.
Yeah, and that's our vision as well, right?
And that, we want to get the marshals in the same place, and that's interesting comment because I think we'll stop everything, but at the FIA Rallycross, when we do an FIA event, we actually have to do 3 extrications out of one of the race cars. That's with the doctor from the FIA watching us and scoring us and all that kind of stuff. And the doctor last year pretty much said, well, I filmed it all because we're going to go back to Europe and show them how to do it the right way, the Canadian way. So we've made tremendous strides around the world with what we're doing. I know it doesn't show on the track. I mean, everybody that comes out for us for CMRT, we're all volunteers too. I mean, the money we charge NASCC goes to help pay for a little bit of equipment. I mean, nobody takes a penny for doing this. The doctors that come out, the medics, the firefighters, everybody from our organization is volunteer as well. And, you know, that's how we have to do, to be able to do this. Because you could imagine if I had to pay a rescue truck with a doctor, a paramedic, and 2 firefighters in it, what the cost would be per day for 2 trucks. There's no way any club could afford that. So we pride ourselves on that too, that we are all volunteers as well at this. I mean, like I said earlier, I'm traveling to Green Bay and to Pennsylvania and a few trips to Montreal, and that's, just like Tracy said, that's all out of our pockets to do this stuff, but we do it because we love it. And we want to learn more about it.
All right, does anybody else have any questions for either Tracy or Paul? John?
Our ice racing events are much lower speed, lower impact type, but we don't see the CMRT type equipment at an ice race type event. Now, I really appreciate what Tracy's doing with the group and the rest of the people to try and make a better job, but is there anything we can do from an ice racing point of view to help make our series safer?
Probably.
Invite us to come up and do your rescue for you. And we'll be there, probably.
It's all the cost versus the everything else, like was all discussed with different organizations. I mean, you can have it, you just have to go for it.
I mean, I didn't come out this year at all, but last year I came out with some equipment. I mean, we won't bring the exact same equipment because water doesn't work well at -20. But we would have the same basic equipment that you guys would need at an ice race. And I mean, it's a lower event, it's fewer field, it's less money. And like I said, we use NASCC, don't take this the wrong way. NASCC is a huge training ground for us for new people. It's not about making money at these events by any means. Get some cost recovery is great. But I never charged last year when I came out to a nice race. So ask us and we'll see what we can work out for you. Pretty much.
I've got sort of a related question. Just Collins fire a number of years ago. His car was engulfed. Do we currently have equipment that can knock down that fire?
Yep.
At ice races?
At ice racing?
Well, depending on where you go, there's 4 20-pounders on the truck normally right now, but there's also backup from local fire. But I don't know how much fuel he had.
Local fire would have taken way too long.
But I don't know how much fuel he had on board, and I wasn't at the fire.
But the fuel was exiting, that was the problem.
Yeah, yeah. But
It was lighting the track on fire.
And you know, I really hope a few of you guys can come out to the school because we're actually, with the very appreciative things from Mansell, we're actually going to be having different extinguishers, and they're actually called high flow Purple K, which is what Safety Boss used in Kuwait to put out all the fuel fires. And that's what we're gonna have in the trucks. And Purple K is meant to fight fuel fires. When you see what a Purple K extinguisher at a high flow, and these extinguishers to go by, if you go on Greg's or Ackland's, search a 20-pound Purple K high flow extinguisher, they're $3,000 each. That's part of our sponsorship that we're gonna be bringing to the track.
Yeah, and we'll have those on the corners as
So,
well, plus our
yeah.
marshals will be trained.
So, the equipment we're bringing out now, I mean, my truck has got a couple calf units on it, so that 10 gallons of water in there produces 200 gallons of foam. So, you know.
Purple K work at 20.
Oh yeah, Purple K will work. The foam is the issue, and if we're doing ice racing, I can actually buy a pre-mixed foam product that's good to -30. It's more expensive, but there's ways around it to definitely do it.
Anyway,
We've only needed it the one time, and that was quite a few years ago. It can
Well,
happen again.
it only takes one fire. I'd like to thank Paul and Tracy for their information presentation, and as well Rob and Brent and Doug, and soon to be Ray.
He fought it as hard as he could, it didn't work, so. But
Again.
he's our family, so.
Are you guys looking for anything from the club at this point?
We're
Just
seeking
feedback?
donations, so like I said, so we can upgrade the equipment, like most of it's for track safety equipment, so like I said, for extinguishers, and then eventually we wanna replace like the flags and the brooms, because the brooms, especially any Miata guys that are listening, we do a lot of work sweeping up after those guys, and we go through brooms like crazy, so we actually need good brooms that actually work. So this is the money that we're looking for sponsorship. We may run some car washes or something this year, but we're gonna redo our GoFundMe page, so we're gonna shoot that out in about a week or so. We have one now, but we're redoing it. So basically, we're looking to, you know, for the drivers to help us keep them safe out there. And like I said, we plan on doing this over the next couple of years, but like right now, a lot of our sponsorship, we have an equipment list where the companies can come in and they can buy stuff off that list, and if they want, put their company logo on it or whatever, and that way they can write it off through their company. So instead of physically giving us cash donations, they can actually purchase equipment for us or clothing. We think we have sponsorship right now to do at least a t-shirt and a long sleeve shirt for each marshal, and anybody that joins ARM, whether they're a marshal or not, we will have them set up, and we've got other sponsorship through like NASCC and Indy and things like that, where, you know, we can bring in stickers and whistles and lanyards and things like that to bring up their enthusiasm, I guess.
And it might actually save the club some money. So if you take, for
Yeah.
example, your fire extinguishers that you guys have now, they're supposed to be inspected yearly, that's about $15 per extinguisher. Every 6 years, they're supposed to be hydroed. If we're supplying those all through our sponsorship, that's obviously money you guys aren't having to spend. So I think there's some give and take here. I think there's lots of ways we can help each other out, basically.
Yeah, because basically we want to maintain our own equipment, and that way it's always, you know, we've got CMRT, we've got the guys that can certify the extinguishers and things like that, and then everything's up to date, so it's just easier for, you know, the volunteer group to be able to do that, and then the racing organization, you know, they can spend their time getting the races together and stuff like that, and not have to worry whether the extinguisher was charged, because sometimes they don't find out till that race weekend, and then we're short 4 or 5 or 6, right?
John?
Yeah,
Oh, Ray, can
we're
you?
looking to get our own equipment, but of course, this spring, we'll still need to be using some of the NASCC equipment.
Yeah, this isn't gonna happen overnight.
But by next year, we might be ready.
John has a question, and I know I've had conversations with Tracy to find out what can be supplied or not, so
Yeah.
NASCC knows what, but so we need some conversation that way, and I'm just waiting for that. John?
Yeah.
2 questions. One, what's the cost for your t-shirt?
Can you ask Bruce? We're not sure yet. I think they're about $18 a piece, between 18 and 25. Like right now, I think what's happening is somebody wants to sponsor it with their company logo, or we may have a couple down the arm or whichever. Like, we kind of designed these just to see what they would look like, so we'd like to have, but with a different font and whichever, but either the long sleeves with the officials down the sleeves or whatever, just so, you know, these guys can look professional and then they feel professional while they're out there and stuff.
Well, of course, I don't like t-shirts at all. I
But the
want real-
t-shirts, I can get those prices for you.
Well, I guess my question was related to the club, that we really appreciate these volunteers that come out every race weekend. And I think we've contributed t-shirts and that in the past. I'd like the executive and you to work on a deal that we provide our volunteers that come out to Castro to have a set of, two t-shirts for the weekend available for them.
Yeah, and that would be good. And see, there was shirts supplied 3 years ago, 2 years ago, but they were like white dress shirts. Now, but somebody needs to talk to the marshals because a lot of the people weren't comfortable wearing them. They felt they were too dressy. So, like Ray wants like kind of what he's wearing now, but in white. We're not listening to it right now. But anyway, so the majority of the marshals, they were a little see-through for the girls and things like that. So
And they weren't cotton.
and they weren't clogging anything.
Yeah, again, cotton's important, because if, we don't ever want to marshal too close to a fire, but stuff can always go wrong. I mean, we're in the proper equipment to be closer to the fire. I still don't like standing in the middle of it, but I have. But again, the marshals, in my vision, the marshals with the extinguisher try to knock down a fire quick, or they're there for driver safety. So the driver's trying to get to the car and they can push the fire away from them, and that's part of what we're gonna train on that weekend, is how to push the fire away from the driver so the driver can get up. It's at life safety. Then we'll get there and we'll deal with the actual fire with our equipment and with the appropriate safety stuff on it.
Well, the second part of my question is, we own a bunch of stuff, fire extinguishers, booms, and what have you. With you doing your own organization with your own equipment, ours is gonna become obsolete really quick. And probably other than ice racing, is there any reason for us to have safety equipment, fire extinguishers and brooms?
Are you talking the NASCC equipment right now?
NASCC.
Yeah, quite a bit of it actually needs to be replaced. So that's why we've seen the need to do this, and that's why we thought as an organization, it'll be easier because we look at that stuff every weekend, and we used to monitor it, and that's kind of gone wayside a little bit, but it's there, but we need updating, and but we've got the means and we've got the connections to be able to do that. But like I said, it's gonna take us a good year or two.
So I
Yeah.
guess from a
Hang
club
on,
perspective, we should make sure we're coordinated with our equipment.
Absolutely,
Yes.
John.
Yeah.
Yeah, we've, as an executive, we've had some discussions, and we're just waiting to sit down with Tracy and her group because they've been kind of busy to hash some of these things out.
Yeah.
So,
We don't want to duplicate equipment if that's one of your concerns.
and
So
the
if you
sooner,
guys have it, that's not the first thing we're gonna be buying, obviously.
yeah, the sooner the better, because we got to pull our race trailer apart and see what we got for equipment and what needs
Well,
to
one
be
thing
done.
we are looking for, in case anybody's got a spare trailer or sea can kicking around,
Or a used pickup truck.
we are gonna need some room for storage at the track, and Casher will allow us to put something there, and I'm working on some stuff with them now, but we will need something to store all this stuff in, because my garage, as much as it's rather large, it can't hold any more of this racing stuff.
Sean and I were talking about acquiring a C-can.
C-can, yeah.
so-
We could look at doing it together with you guys.
Exactly, if we can split a sea can and look after it or whatever.
We've
there's
talked
lots-
about getting a C-can, 20-foot C-can out there, so make it a 40-footer and we'll be done.
Yeah, there's lots of things we can do together.
Well, 40-foot is tough because you can't see to the back.
Or two 20-footers.
Yeah, better with 220s in your
Yeah.
hole.
Okay, we got to
We
move on
we
now.
have to work
Yeah.
with ARM and CMRT to figure out exactly what's what, so.
Yeah, basically,
and-
wanted to say, here, we're coming, and,
Yeah.
you know.
so,
But definitely, so you guys don't think we're just trying to buy stuff, we don't want to duplicate anything, so if you got good stuff, we're gonna work with you on that and we'll move forward.
all right, again, thank you,
Thank you, guys.
for your input. So,
Okay, we'll talk about some club business here. I got a list of a few things to talk about since our last meeting. At the since our last meeting, we've had, we're planning on having the March 4th and 5th ice races. We had to cancel those. I'm confused now on the dates.
We canceled one.
We canceled one, and then we canceled the Saturday because of the we had the snow.
Yeah.
We had the big snowstorm. We had to cancel that, but we decided to go ahead with the Sunday, which we called the ice race celebration. And thanks to Cullen for plowing the track. It was a little bit nip and tuck there. We weren't sure about we'd be able to plow the track because it was quite hard and the banks were quite hard. But luckily we had some snowfall and we were able to get the snow off the track and buffer the banks to make it safe to do some events there. So the Sunday morning we did the Australian Pursuit race. We had I think 11 entrants in the race and went off without a hitch. Everybody had a lot of fun. It was a very exciting race to watch. There were multiple cars on the last lap, and Andy Goudreau put her in the bank, or else she would have won the race. And so that was a great race to watch. After that, we did the ride-alongs for Marshall's family and friends. Very well done. I thank all the drivers who participated in that and were able to give a lot of people some thrills and driving around the track. Everybody thought it was very good. The ride-alongs went very well. They were done in a safe manner, and I thought it was well done. After that, we had an open lapping session for $20. That a lot of race car drivers wanted their family and friends to also do lapping in their race cars, and so actually there was some people, up to 6 people, sharing a race car out on track, which is kind of neat to see. So it great interest from a lot of people. It was a good event. It was a break-even event. We didn't plan on making any money on that. It was more to celebrate our ice race season and to thank our volunteers, all our family and friends and helpers. I'd like anybody else to have feedback on that last weekend we had.
It was a great event. The fire pit and the barbecue was nice to have, and everybody had a good time. It was a congenial way to finish the season.
Yeah, it was something I've been thinking about for ever since I've been involved in ice racing. It's always, you come to the end of the season and it stops. There's no way to celebrate it and to thank all the people. So it was sort of an idea I came up with, and I'd like to see it carried on for next year and maybe make it bigger and better, but have a full race season, have our full complement of races still, but have that sort of as an add-on at the end, if possible. There was a little bit of talk about trying to have another race weekend, but because we went back to back with Lac La Biche, there was a lot of people who were a little bit tired. We'd committed the track to the Edmonton Rally Club for last weekend. So this weekend would have been the natural date, and probably a good thing we decided not to do it, because I think the track's got a lot of water on it right now. So, no, still could have done it, but I'm not available this weekend, and a lot of other people were kind of said, they're kind of busy with other stuff now, getting ready for other commitments and holidays, and getting ready for summer racing. So that's a wrap for the ice race season. There's 2 more things we have to work on. One is the trophies, and if we're going to have an ice race banquet. So those 2 are still open for discussion. I was thinking of doing something very similar as we did last year for the ice race trophies, with a picture in the background of the car kind of washed out, and then the writing on the front. I've contacted John, and John's got pictures of all the cars, so we're part way there. So if everybody's okay with that, I'm going to go along with the same lines of doing something the same we did last year. I think everybody really liked the plaques with the pictures on versus a trophy. We still have all the other trophies that we got to collect, so we got all the main ice race trophies which are handed out every year and collected every year. So if anybody has one of those, I need need to get those back because we will try and organize an ice race banquet if everybody wants one.
All you people online who have trophies, bring them in.
Okay, so everybody wants to do an ice race banquet?
Sure.
Indifferent?
I think it'd be fun.
Why are you looking at me?
He's looking for an organizer, Colin.
Can we do it in Calgary?
No. I'll talk to Mike, see if he'll step up and do a little bit of organizing for us. He did a little bit last year, so we'll see if we can get that done. So I'll go ahead and get the trophies done and see if I can get Mike to step up and do some organization for an ice race banquet. I'll pick a date and set it. Couple of outstanding things left. Where's the trailers?
As a matter of interest, though, we plowed it again on Friday for
Rally
Club, and he brought out a water truck.
Yes, I saw that.
And it
worked?
actually worked. I was amazed that it actually worked this time. It was pretty decent.
It was colder though. It was fairly cold.
Yeah. And then I went back Sunday morning because it snowed overnight, and they ran again on the Sunday.
Sunday, yeah.
We had to uncover it a little bit, but they got it in.
So you plowed it twice for them?
Yeah.
You're a trooper, Colin. You're amazing.
Well, the club makes money on it, though.
I know.
So it's not a bad investment.
No, but
it doesn't cost us a lot to do
the
it.
club doesn't make money on it, but you're the one who makes it happen,
I
Colin.
was able to do it this time, so it's, and
Okay.
it worked out.
Thank you very much. So is the trailers and the truck still at the lake?
Yeah.
Okay.
That
We need to
was.
work. We need to work on a plan to get those back.
Yeah.
I can have them back by this weekend. You tell me where they're gonna go, I'll get them out there this weekend.
Okay. Well, we'll talk about it after the meeting, Mark.
Yeah.
I can help too with it. So. Okay.
I'm not concerned, it's not a problem with him.
Yeah, I'm just more worried about if it gets muddy and trying to get them out of there while it's when it's warm. It's going to be hard. So
It can get muddy there.
they can get muddy. Yeah, but basically they got to go back to Sean's yard. So, but Sean's away right now. So racing, yeah.
Yeah.
So our ice race season's done. I think ERC is done. I kind of have the impression that they're not going to be wanting to do any more rallycross or lapping out there. They kind of hinted on that on Facebook. They're done. So haven't heard anything from. Nobody else has heard anything from.
Don't confuse that though, because they do have rallycross throughout the year at
Yeah,
other locations.
but I think they've done it twice.
Yeah.
Any idea what their participation was like on the weekend?
It was pretty good, I think. I saw about 45 cars.
It was a cold weekend, and they expected more, but they got enough to cover it. And I have no complaints with those guys. And I mean, they had the garbage bags and they had the porta potties taken care of, so together we can work and cooperate.
Good.
I think it was a good endeavor this year.
It was a lot more cooperation I've seen in other years between us and the ERC for the rallycross events and the open lapping, and I think we've got some good ideas moving forward. That I think we got a better understanding this year than we had in previous years too. Thanks to you, Colin, and other people. So that helped. Okay, anything else on ice racing before I start talking about summer racing? Yes,
I've got one quick question that you may have already discussed, but as the organizer from last week, the drivers that let their car go cars for hire, has that been discussed at all?
The ride-alongs?
The ride-alongs?
From Lac La Biche?
Yeah.
Yeah, we discussed them at the last meeting, yeah.
Okay, that's
But,
fine.
yeah, no, we thought it was actually a very positive experience for everybody, and that's why we took it into our ice race celebration for the ride-along concept. We didn't charge for ours, though, so you might want to reconsider for yours. No,
It was raising money for charity.
Charity, I understand, I'm just kidding. So yes, the ride-alongs were, and I think from a safety perspective, I think we're okay. I don't think anybody raised any major concerns about on safety perspectives there. I'm a little bit concerned that really we should be using 5-point harnesses instead of regular safety belts, and that might be something we might want to consider for the passengers. So I don't know, something to think about. Okay, anything else on ice racing? No? Okay. Dry tracks, road race, race school. Our race registrations are up to 30 students right now, which is, I feel quite confident we're doing well. We want about 50, so we got about 20 spots open. We still got just under 2 months to go. I think we'll get close to being sold out. I think we'll start once the weather warms up in the next couple of weeks here. We'll get a lot more registrations. Just by comparison, I went on to Winnipeg's registration site. They have 27, so roughly about the same numbers. We're still recruiting instructors, so if you interested in instructing for the competition license school, please register through motorsportsreg.com or just send an email to one of the executives and we'll make sure. I think everybody is aware that Brooke Carter will be the chief instructor for the race license school this year, as Jed will still be away. And he's nervous nanny. Brooke is like that, but we just have to calm him down every once in a while, say everything's going to be okay. So
As long as he follows Jed's schedule. Jed is the high priest of
yes.
scheduling events.
Yes.
So everything will be fine.
Everything will be fine, but he's worrying all the time. I just started looking at, well, I talked about this a few meetings ago about our race schedule. We only have the 4 races this year at Castrol, and I talked about making each one a themed race. I looked back at it again, and I'm still thinking about wanting to do that. I don't have a theme yet for race weekend 1, but the July race weekend 2, I was going to be calling the Spec Miata celebration, and we'll try and get Spec Miatas coming from BC and Manitoba, probably by offering them travel money to try and get them out. And I'll be talking to the WCMA as well, because there has been some talk in the WCMA about offering extra travel money to get some cross border travel between Alberta and BC too. The third weekend, the August race weekend, is going to be designated the Formula Festival, because that's where we got the Northwest Formula cars coming up. They've committed to running that weekend as an open wheel group on their schedule. And again, I'd like to try and get open wheels coming from Manitoba and BC. So along the same themes, I'll be trying to be coordinating that with WCMA and see if we can promote that as a open wheel weekend. The last weekend in September, I think it'll work out good if we try and designate that one as our vintage weekend. I was looking at the schedule. The Gimli, Winnipeg Sports Car Club in Gimli, their vintage weekend is August 18th to 20th, and the BC Historics are also that same weekend, August 19th and 20th. So that is after both of those events, and if we really promote that and try and promote that as a vintage weekend, I think it'll work out well. So I don't have a theme, like I said, I don't have a theme for the first weekend yet, and I'm still open to suggestions on that. So I'll be talking with a few interested parties next week about this concept of the theme weekends, and see if we can make it happen. Any discussion on that? Yes, John.
We should refer to the September event as the something or other historics.
Okay, I put vintage tribute because
No, we got to be careful with the vintage, because vintage in the vintage race community has a very specific car that we want to attract more than just the vintage guys.
Okay, so you're thinking more like along the historic.
No, we call it historics and vintage, and that way we can have a player's challenge car come out, whereas if it's vintage, we can't.
Okay.
So we call it historics, and that allows us to invite more people.
Is that why BC calls theirs historics too, is it?
Yeah, somewhat. I think it's more history than anything else, but
Okay.
yeah, the vintage guys gotta have door panels and dashes and those kinds of level of car preparation, whereas they don't allow players challenge car as an example,
Yeah.
where we would welcome a player.
Oh, absolutely. No, if I can get enough interest, we would have a like a demonstration race, you know, with all those cars in it. So
Our first weekend, we might wanna do something about the club's anniversary as part of it.
I
We're
thought we
looking
were
for
doing
it
that in
to-
August.
we're doing that in the August one. Is
Okay,
the
yeah, it is
we booked
historic.
that? No, at the we booked
Alright.
the race there. So we still don't have a theme for the first weekend, but we can just leave it as a regular race weekend if we don't come up with anything. What else do I have? Oh, I've redone all the regulations on the website. Please, everybody who's interested, go double check everything. Make sure I've checked over and looked at the supplemental regulations. I just had to change dates in there. I read through them. I didn't see anything that needed to be changed, not like ice racing. But I encourage everybody to go on there and read the supplemental regulations. And if you have anything that you think needs addressing, just pop me an email. I've got everything up to date that I'm ready to submit for the insurance and the permits. So I'll get that going in the next couple of weeks here and get all that rolling. Shortly after that, I'll get all the registrations open for all the race weekends once I've sorted out the themes and if everybody's in agreement. Yes, Mark?
You brought up something, I've been noticing with our schools and stuff like that, we're getting more and more cars that don't have tow hooks at the back bumper, and it's making it harder for CMRT people and whatever rescue crews that are coming out. Maybe we can update the rules saying, hey, you guys gotta have visible points that can be easily accessed.
Yeah, I think they are. I think they're actually written in the WCMA rules, the technical regulations. I'll double check that, and they're not in our supplemental regulations. But we can always just make that a point of issue with the tech inspection to make sure that's.
I'm talking race cars and street cars. Street cars, you get almost impossible to hook up. You
Yeah.
can ask Rudy and those people.
Well, you could put for like the race school. We see those tow hooks that go on the bumpers. They're in the
If
kits.
the
like,
car is equipped with it.
If the car is
Just to have-
we, just on that subject, we actually bought, the harness that the tow trucks use, all the mini J's that go in the frame. Because I run into that problem a lot with the corporate events, because you can't hook onto half those cars with a regular tow strap. So it's basically a bridle type thing. It's got different size mini J hooks in it, and you crawl into the car and hook it into the frame. The same points they use to tie the car down onto trains for transport, and I hook onto it with that. The only problem is I still risk lifting up on those front molded areas that could crack, but it's a challenge. But we've got one bridle that's specifically meant for that, basically. It's still a challenge though.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and going through the race schedule, we do have those conflicts with Gimli. The July weekend, we have a conflict with them, and the last one, the September one, we have a conflict. I haven't heard anything back from the WCMA as part of their idea of the regional runoffs yet. So I'm not sure if that's still on the table or not, but it's going to be a little bit difficult this year the way the schedule falls.
It is on the table as far as my last conversation with WCMA, which is part of why they asked CMRT to come out to Winnipeg, and that's the August weekend. That's
Sorry, what's on the table?
The runoffs, if you will, which are held in or intended to be held in August.
So that would be the week before our August weekend, which is a bit close, but we'll have to see.
But that is at this point, that was WCMA's indication.
The run-ups being the overall champion, trying to draw people from
I have no idea exactly what they're all doing.
The intention was it was supposed to be a year-end wrap-up regional event.
In the middle of the season?
Yeah, this time it's going to be in the middle of the season, so I'm not sure how that's going to work.
It's a work in progress.
But I'm not sure if they'll get a lot of buy-in from everybody right now. So that's sort of where I'm at with the planning for the summer season. It's coming up very quickly. want to put the ice racing to bed and get on with the summer racing. So any other discussion on the summer racing for now? Yes, Tracy.
What about, NASCC Worker of the Year? Because we do it through ARCA, but it's not an ARCA race, and I understand that we do it every year, but.
Our NASCC Worker of the Year is tied to ice racing.
Okay, why is it only tied to ice racing there? But I'm just saying, like, it's the same volunteers, but
No, it's not.
it's not
The
the
only
same
one of the
marshals.
4 of you sitting there who was at an ice race is Ray.
It's sitting here today.
Yes.
I don't know who goes out there. I'm just saying NASCC as a whole, they're volunteers, but I'm
We
just
used
saying,
to
like,
do it many years ago.
I'm just saying, it's been brought up, to
Yeah.
me by
It got
summer
moved to
marshals.
ice racing because there's another separate one that's done for the summer, right?
I was just bringing it up because that's the organization that we support. So it's just weird, like, well, actually Doug won it last year, but he didn't even know because it was ARCA. And did you even know who ARCA was? Basically, but I'm just saying that.
Was that the one that was handed out the WCMA awards?
Correct.
Yeah, that's different.
It
Yeah.
was just a thought, right, because this is who we support, but.
Yeah.
We
But
don't have to
ARCA's-
go that way, it's just I've been asked by some
Yeah,
marshals.
ARCA supports NASCC, so at this point, it can be reviewed, I suppose, but a conversation has to be held with ARCA as to if they want to continue doing it or not. Does NASCC want to bring it on? So it can be looked at, I'm sure.
I'm just bringing it up because it was brought up to my attention, so I'm just passing on what came from our.
Yeah.
records.
Yeah. On that subject, the WCMA AGM and awards dinner is in Edmonton this year. So,
Yes.
yay! No reason why you can't attend, Vitor.
All right, if you're done with summer, and I don't think we had anything else specific to cover for tonight, we can probably wrap up. And then, because there's some small side discussions that we need to have.
We'll go offline then.
So that's it for tonight. Thank you for coming out.